Okay, so good morning and welcome to Rev Up, everybody. Today we are actually talking about successful open houses. So has anybody done an open house yet?
I have not yet.
Okay, excellent. So here we go. Not that there's a lot of inventory right now, but even if you don't have a listing, you can shadow other people doing open houses. You can ask agents who have listings coming up if you can do open houses for them. If you do not already, we do have a Facebook page. If you're not already part of that, Realty One Group Revolution has a Facebook page, so you can usually post and ask questions and just kind of check in on everything on that site. All right. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the purposes of open houses, which this market's a little crazy. And so when we go through Rev Up, some of the things that we're teaching you are really about what are we doing in a normal market, because this market will not last forever. So we want to talk about how to select open houses or homes that you want to choose for open houses, kind of how to prepare, and how to have a successful open house. All right. So let's see, here we go. Purpose of open houses, talking about staging and getting ready, kind of what you do while you're there. And if you guys have questions, definitely stop me, ask questions. Here to answer any questions and help in any way that I can. So part of what we're going to be doing is talking about meeting and talking to people. I mean, if you like people, open houses are really a great way to meet people. Sometimes you'll bring in a buyer that will put in an offer on the house that day. And in most cases, you're actually getting buyers they may not put in an offer on that home, but then you're looking for those buyers that you can help look for something else. All right. So, really, and that's kind of what it comes down to. Lead generation is the number one reason for doing open houses. Two is exposure. It really makes your sellers happy if you're doing an open house for them. And if they're not, if they're done right, they can be a great use of your time. It gives you a chance to meet a lot of people because, again, this is a people business. So it's all about the people that people that you're getting to meet, and then keeping in contact with them so that they remember you. So you're either working with them right away or sometime in the future. All right. So attitude is everything. We love having happy, informative, friendly people. Knowing the area, knowing the house that you're going to be representing is important. Know the neighborhood. All right. So if you are, some of the information that you're going to want to have is information about the house, information about the neighborhood, know where the amenities are in the neighborhood. Nothing worse than doing an open house and having somebody say, "So where is the pool?" If you don't know, then it's kind of hard to let them know. So just planning, getting everything done, having all the information, and just being as knowledgeable as you can be. Selecting the property. All right. So location is an important one. Being able to get to it, people can see it. Can your signage get people there? So location is good. You want to make sure you have a good location. Condition, price, and terms. Anybody have a thought on what that means? So condition of the property, the price, and the terms, kind of what is the seller looking for? What kind of, terms are they looking for? What kind of loan? Are they wanting cash? Are they open to anything? This market seems very crazy, and it's really tough. If you're not a cash or conventional buyer, it's harder to compete just because of the multiple offers. But when just knowing, and these are some of the things that you want to think about when you're deciding which properties that you want to do an open house for. I know it's kind of slim pickings right now, but you know what, guys, we've got agents in our office that are listing properties. Shadow, do a few, go to some open houses with them, follow along, see what they're doing, and then you pick and choose. What do you want to do? How do you want your open houses to look? The beautiful part of this business is you get to run your business the way you want to. And so, but again, it's all about, how to select the property. Location is really one of the best, and then condition of the property. All right. Having the Signage, making sure that you've got enough signage. Now, we do have, depending upon what office you're in, I mean, you can order signs online through OneZone. You can order things locally. A lot of times that will cost you a little bit less. There's even some vendors that have all of our logos so that you have got all of your signage. I know that when you're just getting started, it's hard to be you're spending so much money on things until you start making money. It's hard to imagine putting more out there. So in some cases, if you're doing an open house for, say, another agent that's got the listing, all right, that agent may have some signage for you that you can borrow. So don't feel afraid to ask if you're doing an open house for somebody else. That way you get a chance to start making money before you're spending more money. So anyway, having enough signage that you've got everything, signed well, you've got people that know how to find you, kind of deciding where and when you're going to do your open houses. Are you going to do them on weekends? Are you going to do them on weekdays? What type of open houses you're going to do? Are the properties vacant? Are they occupied? So these are, again, more things to think about when you're deciding which houses you want to hold open. Some things that you may want to consider or to take with you and have with you for your open house is, your open house signs, obviously your business card, information about the area, any buyer handbooks or personal marketing materials, property disclosures. If you've got those, you don't have to have necessarily one for everybody, but at least have one on hand so that you can show people. I like to do a quick CMA so that you've got some of the stats for the neighborhood. And again, that's something you keep. You don't necessarily hand that out to everybody, but you can do flyers. In your email from Tommy, you should have received several pieces of literature, and some of them were the kind of the checklist of what to have for an open house, or a checklist for successful open houses. Some of your flyers, your sign-in sheets, different things like that. So make sure to go back to the email that Tommy sent to you. And if you don't have those things, let me know and we'll make sure and get those to you. All right. Anybody have any questions so far? Okay, we'll keep moving then. So more items that you can have for your open house kit, clipboard and sign up sheet. All right, your laptop or tablet, your iPad or whatever, with your house information installed, your MLS and all that. You can have bottled waters, tables and chairs if the house is vacant, flashlight, pens. As far as, some people in the past, a lot of people have done food and snacks. You certainly could do those things still. I think COVID has kind of changed some of that up. I would always have bottled waters. And then maybe if you do want to have snacks, still a great idea. I would just have them make sure that they're probably individually wrapped at this point in time, just because of COVID. Not only that, hard for people to walk around these days eating and drinking if they've got a mask. I would always have bottled waters. All right. Preparation for your open house. Before you do the open house, always make sure that you preview the listing, walk around, have a good, just know the property inside and out. All right. Figure out how many signs you need to get you to the house from a main road. Are there multiple entrances to the neighborhood? So knowing where your signage goes, get permission to put in your signs, kind of have a good idea of when each city is different. And so they will allow you to have open house and other real estate signs out on certain days and not on others. So for example, it's usually a good idea. I would probably make sure to have all your signs out. If you're doing an open house on Saturday or Sunday, I would do it either Thursday or Friday at the latest. So you've got a couple of days of people driving past those signs, knowing where the open house was going to be. I would hesitate putting them out too much earlier than that, but check the city sign limitations so that you know if they're going to come and pull your signs up. The other thing is, make sure and pull everything up when you're done with the open house, because if they'll usually take them Monday morning, somebody drives around and pulls up all those signs. and then your signs are gone. So you can lose signs. So when it comes to ordering your signs, make sure that you know, with the ones that are going to go on the corners, the directionals and things like that. I mean, obviously you want to have nice signs that look good, but know that some of those are probably going to end up getting stolen. So just, it's kind of, it's a tragedy. It's casualties of the business. But if you're putting the signs up, say, for example, on a neighbor's corner, all right, if you've got, make sure and ask the neighbor permission. Is it okay if I put an open house sign on the corner of your property? So getting permission. Again, this refers to knowing the laws regarding sign placement and usage, and then preview the surrounding available properties. So knowing what your inventory is. Especially if you're doing, an open house, if there's a couple of properties available in the neighborhood, know what's for sale, know whether it is under contract, whether it's closed. Again, you can run some good statistics from the MLS. You can pull the neighborhood information, see everything that is sold in the past 30, 60, 90 days, or even go back 6 months or a year. So it's a good idea to have that information so that you know the statistics and you're the expert. All right.
Hey, Michelle, I have a quick question. Does the signage permission, does that go further than the neighbors? Like, would you need to call the city for that as well? Or if it's rural?
No, you typically don't have to call the city, but it's a good idea just to know what their rules are as far as placement. Most of the cities, you can stick a sign on a corner, like a stop sign here, turn left here. Most of the time, you're not going to get in any issues with that. What's important is if you get into some of your I've run into no issues in Charlotte. Anywhere in Charlotte, down in South Carolina, up north by the lake, I've never run into any issues with city ordinances or any kind of signage when it comes to the city. But I always put my signs out usually on Thursday or Thursday evening, Thursday afternoon, or Friday morning, so that I get some people driving past. And then pull everything up after the open house. So I usually don't have anything up by Monday morning. It's all gone. So I've never run into any issues. So you don't have to necessarily call anyone, just knowing if there are any. Now, where you may run into some sign issues might be in some of your more exclusive neighborhoods.
Mhm.
Some of those guys have very specific signage that you have to use. You can't use your normal, Roger signs. You may have to special order some stuff. So depending upon the neighborhood and their covenants and restrictions, that may give you a little bit of guidance there.
Yeah,
But typically it's just asking the neighbor, is it okay if I stick this sign in the yard for a couple of days?
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're sure welcome. Any other questions? All right. So as far as preparation and promotion, all right, there's different things you can do. Obviously, social media has a ton. Usually your signage is really important this time, especially I think in this market. A sign goes up and bam, you do a coming soon in the MLS, bam. You've got people putting in offers and they haven't even seen the house yet. But here are some other ideas for you. So one of the good, nice things is, invite the neighbors. Depending upon how much time you have and how much you want to, one of the best things you can do, and think of it as exposure. All right. When you think about inviting the neighbors, you could have a flyer, knock on the door, invite them. And, you could go 10 houses to one side, 10 houses to another. Just think of it this way. You're meeting more people. All right. And what opportunity might a neighbor have, or what reason might a neighbor want to, if they want to, for example, they get to pick their neighbors if they know somebody that's looking for a house. So, and more importantly, again, it's lead generation for you guys. So invite the neighbors. You can call, you can email, you can door knock. Calling's a little tough right now, so is emailing. If you don't know, obviously you don't have that information unless the seller has some sort of directory for the HOA or for the neighborhood. I don't know if I would go that far, but you certainly could. I'd feel more apt to having a flyer and door knocking, meeting people face to face. They see what professionalism you have. You're going the extra mile to sell their property. They might be thinking of selling their home themselves. All right. So that gives you an opportunity. The very first listing I ever got was I was doing an open house for someone else. It was their listing. It was not mine. I was doing open house and one of the neighbors came in. So it does, I mean, it does work. It's you meeting people. And then also invite your circle of influence, your people that you know. If you've got people that you know that are looking for properties, posting it on your social media, things like that will help you get more exposure. And that's kind of your preparation. As far as coordinating and advertising, all right, you want to prepare a flyer. All right, you can do invitations. Make sure that the listing agent posts in the MLS that they are having an open house. All right. And that they can put your name and your phone number as the host. All right. And then it will obviously, when you post to the MLS, it then ends up on Zillow and Trulia and Realtor.com, all those places. So it goes out there. Everybody knows. All right. Any other questions so far? Okay. All right. So MLS and local association sites. Again, the MLS is really going to populate to most everywhere. Posting on your website, your social media site, your advanced notice writers, sign writers. All right. So those are your, those are your directionals. Those are your signage. Advanced flyer notices. All right. You could do something along the lines of doing a flyer and delivering it to everybody in the neighborhood, or something, where it's in advance. You're letting people know that it's coming. I think with the MLS and the coming soon right now, that pretty much hits everybody depending upon how soon it goes into the MLS. MLS rules, I believe, are 21 days. They can put it in the MLS. It can be in the MLS that far beyond the actual market date and the date that it goes live. So any kind of advance notice, if you want to go in and do a video, you could certainly do a video about the house, the coming soon, talking about the open house, and again, posting it on, any of your social media sites.
Michelle, when you say deliver flyers, does that mean hand deliver or something that would be like a mailer?
You could do either. All right. Mailers are going to cost you more money. So if you think about it you could do either one. I mean, I've seen open house postcards get delivered. That takes a little bit more advanced preparation. But to me, I mean, it's a great way to meet people is to walk through a neighborhood the Saturday before you're going to do an open house and put out flyers in the neighborhood.
Okay, great.
Okay, so either way, I mean, if you want to spend the money on the postcards and the mailings, you can, absolutely. I mean, I hear Tommy say all the time, and I have to agree with him, you can do farming. There's a lot of things you can do, but there's things that are going to cost you money and there's things that are going to cost you time. All right. So you just have to decide which way you want to go. What works best for you. If you've got another job you're working and you're getting started in real estate and you're moving in this direction, you might have some cash to put into it. If you're starting from scratch, you might need to go bare bones. So you decide what's best for you.
Great. Thank you.
Sure. As far as information for your visitors, all right, having an MLS data sheet is helpful, all right, because then that has all of the information about the property, all right. Also create a flyer with some of the photos of the house and with your contact information. When you print the MLS data sheet, make sure you print the client version, not the agent version, so that it doesn't have the listing agent's contact information on there. That way you can staple it to your property flyer or have it there, but you've got the information that you need to know. Having a plat map is very helpful so that you know exactly the layout of the yard, how the property itself is laid out, or even, the neighborhood, depending upon what that is. School information, nearby businesses, and then the property feature sheet. You can create that. Kind of goes hand in hand. You could actually combine that with the property flyer. So all the features of the house, You can have that. I wouldn't necessarily print all of these things and have each one of these things available for a buyer. Some of this information, remember when you do like a CMA and have that information, you're paying for all this stuff. That's your expertise that you've put together. So have one copy there for you, not one to pass out to everybody. Just give them a flyer, maybe a flyer with an MLS data sheet. The other information is so that you can provide that information and you're the expert. You have the knowledge. As for safety, this is something we always want to make sure of. Hang on, somebody's waiting to get in. So safety, all right, when you're doing open houses, if you don't feel comfortable going by yourself, tag team, go with somebody else, have someone else go with you. If nothing else, make sure that somebody else knows where you are, what time you are expected to be done. Just, for those reasons, just know where you're at. All right. And if you don't feel comfortable, don't do an open house by yourself. You can almost always find someone to go with you, or, be there to show up and just be there with you guys. And not only that, not a bad idea in this market to have a partner with you because of the volume of traffic that are in the open houses these days. All right. It's really hard when you've got 10 or 12 people in a house at the same time. You can't answer questions for everybody. You can't keep an eye on everybody. So it's good to have a partner, especially in this market, so that you've got more help, more communication, more people to talk to the folks that are coming through. But just again, make sure that, somebody knows where you are, hours that you'll be there, what time you'll be back. And then there's a code that you can use if you call and you are in trouble. All right. So just making sure that if you are in an uncomfortable position, that you can call someone and you can, ask for the red file or something so that somebody knows where you are and that you may need some help. So never can discount safety at all. So always be safe. Any questions on any of that? Okay. So the day of the open house, all right, you always want to arrive early. All right. Make sure, nothing worse than showing up 5 minutes before the open house and you've got people sitting in the car outside. So, and I've seen that happen. So arrive early, usually 30 minutes, 45 minutes is a great idea, maybe even an hour. Memorize where all your lights are, your doors, your windows, stage everything, turn on all the lights, make sure everything is just arranged so that it looks nice. Bring some note cards with you, bring some other items with you so that you have stuff to do during your downtime. And I'm going to say that with a little bit of a laugh only because I don't know, open houses in this market right now, there is not a lot of downtime. I've done open houses in the past where I'll be sitting there for 2-3 hours and not a soul comes through. These days, that's not an issue. Everybody's attending open houses. So you probably won't have a lot of downtime, but it's a good idea to go ahead and bring something with you. But staging is important. So always go through, turn on all your lights, make sure everything looks great. Any questions on staging or preparation or anything so far? Okie doke. All right. So conducting the open house. All right. So here we go. Acknowledge and welcome everyone in. Come on in, meet and greet, ask them to sign in. If you can, try to get them to sign in before you start having too much conversation with them. Otherwise, it's kind of a little harder to direct them back. So if you can have the sign-in book right there in front, make sure and try to get them to sign in. And then, really engage, ask lots of questions. What are they looking for? Do they have an agent? Obviously you don't want to step on anybody's toes, but just, really just engage. This is you, you turn it on. You are the people person. You are the one that's bringing them in and wants them to work with you. Info, flyer to, not everybody is going to sign your book. All right. Some people are going to hesitate, almost like not everybody wants to sign the working with real estate agents disclosure, things like that. They're afraid to sign in or they don't want to give real information. So give some information for someone, make sure that you've got information for everyone. And you can let them explore the house on their own. Typically, you will have some agents that kind of shadow and walk through and follow people through the house. Let them explore on their own. All right. See what questions they have, answer any questions that they have. But you don't necessarily have to hover. If you have notified your seller, make sure the seller is putting everything up, safeguarding their valuables put away. I know it sounds crazy and you'd think most people would, but I've seen sellers that, didn't put money away, didn't put prescriptions away. I mean, have them make sure that the seller knows they really need to lock everything up, because there may be the chance that you can't follow everybody around the house. All right. So, but let them explore on their own and then just confirm, see if they've got any questions, just make sure you're there to be helpful. All right. Listen to see what kind of questions they're having. What are they talking about? Can you add anything to the conversation? Ask questions that will lead to appointment opportunities. Again, open houses, number one reason for doing open houses is what? Lead generation. All right. So you want to make sure that if you have an opportunity, if somebody says, I really like this house, but I still have to sell mine. How likely is that? So ask them engaging questions. I can come over this afternoon and take a look at your house. Be happy to do a market analysis and tell you what I think we can get for your home. So look for opportunities for a future appointments. Ask particular questions. Know who you're working with. Do they own a home? Are they renting? How long is their lease? If they are really liking the house, but they're in a lease, do they have can they buy out of the lease? Or when is their lease up? So asking lots of questions, getting them engaged is going to help them to trust you and know that, you're there to help them. Here's some of the objections when it comes time to do because one of the things that'll happen is you'll get people that come in the open house and they might be a neighbor and they're actually just looking, they're kind of curious. They've seen some construction going on and contractors in and out, and they're just kind of being the nosy neighbors, but some of them really are thinking about selling. All right. So you can offer, one of the things that you want to do is if somebody's talking and it all hints that they are looking to possibly, sell, you want in there as soon as possible. All right. If they don't have an agent already, if they've not already signed with anybody, you want to get in there. So you can offer things like, I'm happy to do a market analysis and tell you what I think we can sell the house worth. Or sell the house for. And these are some of the things that people will say to you, such as, we wouldn't want you to go through any trouble. Well, it's no trouble. This is what I do for a living. All right. We're not thinking of selling, or we're not ready to sell right now. And these are valid concerns. I think a lot of times right now you've got sellers that would like to sell, but they're worried they won't find anything because of how crazy the market is. Or they might say things like, we know what it's worth. We just had an appraisal. All right. Maybe they did have an appraisal. Maybe they did a refi. And so now they've had an appraisal recently. However, knowing that appraisals really right now are only good for 30 days, 60 days. I mean, the market's changing so quickly that it is changing. And so it's your job to educate them. We know what it's worth. We just had another agent do a CMA. Okay. Great, not a problem. If you change your mind, I'm happy to do one, or I'm happy to, give you a second opinion, offer a second opinion. That's sometimes how you'll get in the door. And then another objection that they're going to have is it doesn't matter since we're never moving. Never say never. So anyway, just some of the things that you'll get, but ideally, again, with people, you're either wanting to help them as a buyer, go find something, or potentially a seller that you're wanting to get their listing. All right. So those are a couple of your objections with doing open houses. It's meeting those people. So the goal of an open house, make as many appointments as you can, whether they, again, are buyers or sellers. You're making as many appointments as you can. It's all about meeting people. For the owners, offer them a free market analysis of their home. And again, don't be afraid to say, you know what, I'm going to be done here at 3 o'clock. is 4 o'clock too soon, or is 3:30? Because what you can do is, yes, you don't have time to do a CMA, but you want to get in the home. You want to be able to get in there, take a look around. I'm happy to come and take a look at your home, and then I can put together a market analysis. All right. So sooner the better. All right. And for renters or buyers, offer them a sample of your buyer system. All right. Now, if you have your buyer packet, then that's really what your buyer system is. All right. Your buyer system is, let's sit down and talk about the process. Are they first-time home buyers? What is the process of buying a home? So appointments. All right. Learn and memorize. All right. Review all of your objections, know what potentials they could come, and then practice those. Know what your comeback is going to be if somebody comes up with one of those objections for you. Use your student manual and the role player. Do role playing with other people. That's always fun to do, and it's great practice to be able to just know and be able to have those objections just rolling right off of your tongue. All right, that's like second nature. And again, practice repeatedly until you know them all. Any questions, anybody? Okay, so when you're done with the open house, I return the home as you found it. Brief the sellers if they return. All right. If not, then you're going to brief the listing agent. If you're doing an open house for someone else, brief the listing agent so that they can let the sellers know. Keep everything as positive as you can. If there are any overwhelming comments or something that, if you've got several people that commented on the same kind of thing, let them know that, but always keep it on a positive note. Write a thank you note. Always very nice to do. Again, part of our making sure it gives you the opportunity. You're meeting people, you're adding people to your database, and you are writing your note cards. All right. Collect all your signage, pull everything up, balloons, all that good stuff, anything that you did. Send thank you notes to all the attendees. If you were able to get addresses, report to the listing agent. We kind of already talked about that. Any new prospects, make sure and add them to your database. All right. And make sure to follow up. Everything is always follow up. People may not be ready today. They may not be ready tomorrow, but it's all about building your database. It's meeting the people. And if you just are meeting people and adding people to your database, you'll kill it. You seriously will. That's where you'll go. And here's our one habit we talked about: 3 calls, 3 adds to your database, and 6 notes. If you do an open house, you'll be most likely doing much more than 3 note cards or 6 note cards and adding 3 people to your database, because there'll be a lot of people there. Any questions? Anything that we've covered so far? Everybody ready to go out and do open houses? Okay. Well, I think we've got, is there any questions anybody has on anything that you guys have been covering so far? I know RevUp kind of gives you a brief synopsis and we give you some stuff to get started, but there's usually questions and things. So if you guys have questions, if I can be of help with anything, please let me know. And I guess that's it for today.
That was really helpful. Thank you, Michelle.
Oh, you're sure welcome. And again, some of it you won't remember until it comes time to do it. So
Right.
Always refer back to your materials. Always use the materials that Tommy sends in the emails. They're great materials. You can find a lot of marketing stuff on OneZone. You can also find a ton of stuff out there that's free. You can find, Google real estate flyers, property flyers, free property flyers, and you can get all sorts of templates and things. So lots of resources that you can use. But if you guys have questions or need anything, definitely don't hesitate to let me know. All righty. You guys have a great day. Have a great week.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you.